Hi everyone. So we're going to continue our reading in the book of Matthew in chapter 2. As you recall, we read chapter 1 and it consisted of two sections. One that talked about the ancestors of Jesus and the genealogy and lineage on Joseph's side, and it proceeded into the birth of Jesus, introducing the Holy Spirit that rested upon Mary. Now we're going to move along to chapter 2, and we're going to talk about this first section here, which indicates that it's the visitors from the east, and it's verses 1 all the way to 12. So we're gonna jump right into it. So it starts with Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of King Herod. About that time, some wise men from the eastern lands arrived in Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star as it rose, and we have come to worship him." King Herod was deeply disturbed when he heard this, as was everyone in Jerusalem. He called a meeting of the leading priests and teachers of religious law and asked, "Where is the Messiah supposed to be born? In Bethlehem, in Judea?" They said, "For this is what the prophet wrote. And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are not least among the ruling cities of Judah, for a ruler will come from you who will be the shepherd for my people Israel." Then Herod called for a private meeting with the wise men, and he learned from them the time when the star first appeared. Then he told them, "Go to Bethlehem and search carefully for the child, and when you find him, come back and tell me so that I can go and worship him too." After the interview, the wise men went their way, and the star they had seen in the east guided them to Bethlehem. It went ahead of them and stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were filled with joy. They entered the house and saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasure chest and gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. When it was time to leave, they returned to their country by another route, for God had warned them in a dream not to return to Herod. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, but first there's maybe a few insights here that I wanted to kind of touch on. But here is a continuation of where we left off, and it's talking about Jesus being born in Bethlehem, but there's a king called King Herod, and also there's these three wise men that actually came from the eastern lands that actually brought about information. But the information was very tricky, because the information was not necessarily just bringing information, it was a knowing and a conviction of what they saw. They asked for the newborn King of the Jews. Not only that, but they also said they actually saw a star and that they have come to worship him. So I want to go a couple verses later on, wherein the king started to ask the leading priests and the teachers of the religious law, who are called the scribes, about a question. He posed the question to them and asking, "Where is the Messiah supposed to be born?" So it means that there's an expectation of a Messiah that was yet to come. The time frame to which when he was supposed to come was not necessarily known, but for the fact that an outsider was able to actually detect and know what a star represented, and having to follow that star with a sense of conviction, walking in there knowing that I am not coming in just to actually ask, I'm coming in here prepared to worship this newborn king. And the Jews who did not even have an inkling of this happening in the season and the time that it was meant to happen. So that was very insightful. And then going all the way later, even going back to what I just said, the prophet that wrote this prophecy was years ago, and it's in the Old Testament, and this was Micah. So these were things that the Jewish people knew, and they read about this, they understood it. So there was an expectation of a Messiah, so they were waiting on that, but couldn't actually detect or know the season that they were in. And later on, when Herod called them back for an interview, saying that, "Okay, go and find it, and look carefully for this child, and if you find him, come tell me." The wise men went along their way, but the star that they had seen in the eastern lands followed them, guided them like a GPS, if you will, and basically went ahead of them and then stopped at the very place the child was. I thought that was actually very well put together, very well clearly stated. And for the fact that they also brought gifts along, and I don't know the representation or the meaning of the gifts that they brought, because it was 3 gifts: the gold, the frankincense, and the myrrh. At that time it probably had a significant meaning, but it felt like royalty, if you will. So I thought that this was such an insightful verses, and we're going to continue into the next section that talks about the escape to Egypt, and that's only about 5 verses, and it's going to be a lot shorter, but this was very rich in how it was written and the breakdown and the details that were intertwined with that. So I will leave you at that, and then I can't wait to talk about the next section that we're going to be entering into, and see whether there's more insight. But I'm excited to go on this journey with you. I will talk to you later. Bye.